Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 700 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Philip Golinsky. And if you want to hear a story about chiropractic business and making an impact, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Actually, this is episode 700. It's a milestone for us. We've had Dr. Phil Golinsky on for episode 412. Back in, let's look at the year here, 2022. So we both been busy since that point. I got so much love and respect for this guy that you guys are going to hear him talk about creating an Inc. 5,000 business in 23-24, how he scaled that to a $12 million organization, getting Chiropractor of the Year, breaking into mainstream media consistently, and mentoring chiropractors and helping with the leadership of 28 doctors in his organization, RxWellness. We're going to get a little bit gritty with politics and why you guys need to step up. We're going to talk about growing a state association. I think that's remarkable what he's done out there in Virginia. And we're going to talk about the RFK effect. We're actually going to open up with that. And then how he's gotten wellness into the workplace. I mean, there's so many things we're going to talk on. We might not have time for all these things today, but that's the framework. And before we get into Dr. Phil, I'm going to tell you our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? First things first is freedom of speech. We believe that that's so integral to the future of our profession of chiropractic. And I know what it's like to be shadow banned, traffic throttled, and censored. And we'd never do that to you. Actually, anybody that's ever done an interview with me, we've aired it. We've never censored it. We've never edited it. It just goes as it is. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you need somebody to give you guidance with your family and your personal health, go find a chiropractor. Find a chiropractor in your city, in your neighborhood. Philosophically speaking, we do protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you want to learn more about chiropractic, go to our show notes and click on that link, and you're going to learn more about chiropractic than you did previously. I know I shouldn't have to say this either, but we do support subluxation-based chiropractic. They're taking it out of these colleges. Mm-hmm. So if you guys know some young chiropractors that need philosophy, please share the show with them. And we also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence over here at Chiro Hustle. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And what that does is creates educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 700 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Dr. Phil Golinsky, welcome.
James Chester, good to be here. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, man, I told you from the beginning, like I loved you and I love you now, and it's just getting better and better.
A lot of respect both ways, my friend. Thanks for doing what you do, being the lay person in a chiropractic profession that needs guidance, that needs this kind of social media, this kind of person that's actually taking the successful chiropractors, putting them on your show and putting it out for the public to listen to.
You know, what's funny is I'll get into like an Uber going to one of these conferences and they're asking me what I do. And I say, hey, do you guys know who Joe Rogan is? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm that guy for chiropractic. And then the respect level shifts pretty hardcore. And they're like, wow, really? That's what you do? I'm like, yeah, man. Anybody that's been on our show in the chiropractic space. And then I tell them, go listen to it and go get adjusted.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's true. You are the Joe Rogan because, you and I just had like a 5-minute chat. You're like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And let's just go with it. Let's just go. And and I like the free flow because we did that last time as well. And it went great.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a lot of all your podcasts. I like that. The Joe Rogan of chiropractic.
So let's hit this topic, the RFK effect.
Yeah.
I know that we have a new administration as leadership of our nation.
Right.
How do you see that helping chiropractic?
So my wife, Phoebe, she's the chief operating officer of RxWellness. If she doesn't exist, RxWellness doesn't exist. She was a managing director of PricewaterhouseCoopers for 17 years. It's Big Four consulting. That's the people that scale Fortune 100 companies, multi-billion-dollar companies. They can build a business from the ground up and the top down. She came to me when she was at an executive meeting of Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson back in 2017. And she said, Phil, because I've been asking her for a couple of years just to leave big business and come join me with my fledgling. It was called Golinsky Chiropractic. She said, Phil, I'm ready to join this thing called natural healthcare because the pendulum is shifting. The people at Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson back in 2017 said, we need to push our products out as quick as possible because the pendulum is shifting to natural health. That was in 2017. Then 2020 hits, COVID, boom, even more skepticism with the medical community. It shifted it even more. And now we got RFK, Health and Human Services, even more. He's talking about the fluoride. Chiropractors have been talking about fluoride for the last 40 years. What about all those vaccinations? He's not anti, but he's questioning the validity and should vaccine companies be protected when they're forced to give the vaccine, when there's a law that mandates, should they be held responsible if a bad batch is put out there? He's questioning the medical community. So this is just another step. And absolutely, RFK is just part of the big picture to move natural healthcare towards its rightful place in society.
Well, I met the guy. See, people would always ask me like who I would vote for. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, until I meet a politician, I don't really know them. Right. And how can I bandstand and say I approve of somebody if I don't know them? Right. Well, the good news is I got a chance to interview RFK back in 2019.
Wow.
When he was, going around speaking at the chiropractic conferences and talking about his children's health defense.
Okay.
And I went and picked him up from the airport.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you had him to yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah. And we just sat in the back of the black SUV. And it's a funny story.
So let me ask you, does he have like security around him when he's traveling?
No, it's just me and him and the driver.
That's incredible because he's a known public figure. Like you think, right?
It was just me and him, and he never met me before. But I was in the back seat waiting for him at the airport, and he comes in and I said, "Hey, my name's Jim Chester. I'm a very inspired individual. I'm doing these interviews at this conference. I've interviewed about 600 chiropractors at this point, and I know that you're going to be speaking here. I was wondering if you would do an interview with me. You could talk about children's health defense. You can talk about all the things that you're interested in, and we'll get you some airtime on our show." And he's like, and I'm just going to be really frank, man. He's like, "I'll do the interview with you. Just don't fuck it up."
How could you not love a guy like that? I'll do it.
Just don't fuck it up.
That's great.
And we're getting out of the SUV, and he leaves his wallet in there. And I go, "Yo, Robert, here you go. You left your wallet, man."
He's testing you. I think that's great.
But when you think about it, like I can get behind a guy like that.
Yeah.
And when his main ethos of his project was to help children and to like make the world better for these kids.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he's questioning what this vaccine schedule is. Sure. It's and what's in it. Sure. The way that he got big in this whole scene, man, is they would go and moms would come to him with these studies. They found out he like won that case with the rivers out in New York. Okay. And he found that there was lead in the river, yes. And there was like toxic levels of lead. Mm-hmm. And then these moms started showing up whenever he would go talk about these things, and they'd bring him stacks of reports on the safety of vaccines. And that's really what started knocking on his door for him to start investigating these things.
Yeah. It's funny because I think there was a rumor that Trump back in 2016, whenever he got elected, 2020, was also questioning vaccines. And Big Pharma didn't like that. I don't think Trump did anything back then. But 8 years later, here he is, and he's bringing in RFK. And I think Big Pharma should be a little concerned.
Well, if you look at the charts of health, the reason more people need chiropractors and the reason I talk about medical freedom and family health freedom is because they need somebody to give them guidance.
Yeah.
They need good advice. They need good leadership. And I think that, that takes us into topic number 2 with you is 28 doctors, man. You have 28 doctors working at RxWellness.
I do.
Talk about that a little bit and how that's shaping the future for not only the doctor to be successful, but for the people that are getting the care from these docs.
Okay. First of all, we only hire about 10% of the people that apply to us. We'll talk to everyone, but we only hire 10%. And that's the reason why is because for lack of a better word, the chiropractors that are coming out of chiropractic college nowadays suck. They're just not good. I think BJ set the standard, and the further the further generations of BJ Palmer, where chiropractic was pure, is becoming less and less pure, and more medical indoctrination and more hours used to study the national boards and less time with your hands on spines as a student. And you have to have at least 1,000 adjustments to not suck, 2,500 adjustments to be actually okay, 5,000 adjustments to be good, 10,000 to be like professional. Okay. They're putting up students or doctors that have only had like 100 adjustments. They've just lowered the bar. And it's like, so we're finding these doctors that have spatial orientation of the spine that have potential. And we actually just train them for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, we're talking, we put them through reps, 500 reps of toggle, 500 reps of thrusts. Their arms are sore. I train them like a military. I'm tough, but I'm fair. I do it to everyone. No one gets by without my stamp of approval. And so once they're good enough to adjust the population, that's when they get a chance. So they're probably trained and developed just chiropractically for 6 weeks minimum. Okay. Very few people come out and interview with me and are ready to go. I can only remember one person in the last 2 years. So that's the first thing. Those people are going to be the associate doctors. Now, the associate doctors get me every 2 weeks on a Zoom conference. It's just for my associates. It's not for the outside. It's not even for my staff. My staff gets to see the copy of this because they love me pumping oxygen into my associates, but it's just for them because they need me one-on-one, because my lead doctors, they're the ones that are doing the day 1, day 2. They're the clinic directors. They get me also once a month in live training. I train these doctors every single month. Again, I'm tough, but I'm fair. I put them onto the hot seats. They sometimes people don't like public speaking. They sweat a little bit, but they also know they fear it, but they love it, because once they get through my hot seat, the mic's on them, and you got 12 other doctors that know what the scripts are. But when you hiccup, when you forget to breathe, your adrenaline overtakes your mind. That's a monthly thing, or at least every 2 months. So the associates see what's going on with the lead doctors, but I also have to give back to the associate doctors to keep developing their philosophy, keep developing, communication with the patient. Because, if you're an associate, first of all, understand this, communication is everything. What my lead doctors are saying, the associates also have to know that communication. And then the front desk, the front staff, they got to know what the lead doctors are saying, what the associates doctors are saying, because the patient needs to hear one message. If they hear different messages from all over the place, there's a lack of trust. If they hear the same message, then there's congruency, there's continuity, and there's trust. And that builds value for the patient. So there's a lot of training that goes on, but I also know the more I train, obviously, the more I get out of it, the more the associates get out of it, the more the lead doctors get out of it. So we have about 14 lead doctors, because we have 8 practices. There's 2 lead doctors per office. So it's about 16. And then the remaining are associate doctors. And they're all being developed differently. There's always, every chiropractor is different. We have to find where that chiropractor fits, what's their talent, what's their strengths, and develop those strengths and also develop the weaknesses. Because my goal is to build exceptional chiropractors. They're not there to make me money. They're there to serve the world chiropractic. The money comes, but I want to move the needle in chiropractic. Listen, chiropractors, for you guys out there watching, you might be the person that delivers an adjustment to a person that's coming in for the first time who's never been adjusted, that either turns a person off or turns a person on to our profession for the rest of their life. Let me give an example. If you go to a bad dentist, you don't shun the profession, you try a different dentist. If you go to a bad massage therapist, you don't shun massage therapy, you go to a different massage therapist. Same thing with a restaurant. You got a bad meal, you go to a different restaurant. But how many times have you encountered a patient that walks into you that said, I've been to a chiropractor 25 years ago and he hurt me and I never trusted you guys again? So many of you guys are going to be the differentiator to becoming, giving your adjustments so good that you can turn a person on to chiropractic care that if they go somewhere else and don't receive a good adjustment, they're always going to remember that one encounter that you delivered the good. So make it count. Your adjustments have to be crisp. They have to be like a professional. I call it aggressively gentle. If you can give an aggressively gentle adjustment, fire through your fingertips, but it just feels like a soft pillow, but they hear a crunch, but they don't feel it. They just feel life force being released. You're turning that person onto life, and that person's never going to forget that adjustment. That's what I teach my associates.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Well, you said that only 10% make it.
Yeah.
Now let's go look at like the problem, because the problem is they're schools, coming out of
CCE. That's it. I'll say it. The schools, the CCE, they have this damn like monopoly. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they don't want to make these students chiropractors with a TOR, but I don't see it. I don't see these chiropractors getting better. I've done this for 30 years. The chiropractors 30 years ago were better adjusters coming out of school because we cared. We had technique wars. I was an upper cervical guy. The upper cervical guys hated the gondroids. The gondroids hated the upper cervical people. You know what? That was good times because we had passion for our techniques. We cared enough to study more, to get better. Do you hear about technique wars from students anymore? No, I don't hear it. They don't care. There's no passion.
The only thing I hear about anything that has any competition to it is this thing called Talk the Tick. And it's a philosophy-based thing where these kids have a competition about, their stance on chiropractic.
Okay.
So there is something out there.
That's good.
And it's by school, I believe.
Yeah.
But I look at that too. And I try not to like really pose a problem for it. I look at solutions, and I talk to a lot of people that are looking for associates, just like you. And when people get in contact with me, I tell them, like, look, this guy needs to go to a mission trip. Like, they need to go out there and get their hands on people and get better. Or they need to go to a Tim Young adjusting seminar, or they need to go up to Mount Horeb and get in with the Gonstead group. Like, I just believe that we got to go back to fundamentals again, and we got to pipeline these chiropractors into adjusting technique. And we have to create better ones, because what's happening is they'll come out and they want that like signing bonus money as their professionals.
Yes.
But they couldn't start on the C team.
You're right.
That's the issue.
You're right.
They want top tier money, but they aren't top tier performers yet. And then the chiropractor has to bring them in and train with them for 4 to 6 months before they actually, and they're paying them in the process to train them. And that's the issue I see.
Well, we tell our doctors that are in training, look, here's your salary when you're on the dance floor, but we're going to cut your salary by 25%. And we let them know that because they're not ready to adjust patients. We're trained. One person had a little bit of pushback, and I said, listen, you should be paying me because I'm going to make you a great chiropractor. You didn't learn in chiropractic college, but you paid them. I'm paying you less than what you're going to get when you have developed. And he's one of our great chiropractors now. And he understood when I said, you should be paying me for what I'm going to give you in the next 6 weeks. And this guy just soaked in everything. And he's a phenomenal performer now.
So powerful, man.
Yeah.
Growing a state association.
Yeah.
I think that's another part we should definitely anchor into because we don't have a whole lot more time on today's show. But you came in and you helped grow the state association by 140%.
That was back in 1999, 2000, 2001. That was the Northern Virginia Chiropractic Society. Actually, so here's a funny story. And it's not really funny, but I grew it so much that the person that took it over past me because I was after 3 years in a row. Again, I'm brand new in practice. I didn't really know how to grow a practice when I first opened. I wasn't an overnight success. For those that are looking at my bio right now and seeing what RxWellness has become, that wasn't me back in 1996 when I first opened. I was starving, scared, going through a nervous breakdown, but I was also excited and enthusiastic. So I did so well because I would call every single chiropractor in Northern Virginia. I'd get the phone book out. There was no internet. I called every single person and said, hey, I'm bringing in now. We brought in some phenomenal speakers. We brought in Reggie Gold twice. We brought in Joe Felicia. We brought in Arnold Bernier. We brought in Joe Accurso. We brought in Dick Santo. We couldn't get Sid Williams, but I brought in all my mentors in this area. So I had so many chiropractors. The next person that took it over, no one joined the member. Everyone was it was like a sudden drop off. And I guess the association died. So the Northern Virginia Chiropractic Society doesn't exist anymore. But what I did was this. I brought in phenomenal speakers and I called every single doctor and I asked them to become part of the NVCS. I said, would you join, please? I'm working so hard. I'm trying to build this big umbrella for all chiropractors to engage in. And people saw the heart. They saw the excitement. And that's all I did. There was no trick. I just worked hard at it. For 3 years, I didn't stop until I was not the president anymore.
So let's talk about why people need to support their state associations across every state.
Okay. I'll tell you why. You can make a change much easier in your state association for chiropractic laws and protecting what we have versus the national laws. National law, you're dealing with Medicare. Okay. State by state. First of all, your local legislators are winning votes between 25 to maybe 100 votes. They're not winning by 50,000 or 100,000. If you get on a team and you support this legislator, this congressperson by giving him $100, $200, whatever it is, if you start supporting your local people, they're going to remember you and they're going to come to you. So, if they start to become if you build this relationship, when laws are about to happen, that's going to hurt you or help you, they're going to say, hey, doc, I got this law that, tell me about it. What do you think we should do? So you need to support your local politicians because these politicians that are locally, they could become the governor one day, right? We have Winston, right? Winston Sears. She spoke for our state association 3 years ago, right? Guess what? Governor Youngkin, after this term, he's not going to. Winston Sears, she might be the governor. We've been supporting her for the last 3 years, giving her $5,000. You don't think that she's not going to support chiropractic because we've been her friend before she was anyone? That's what you got to do. You got to build relationships.
Well, I see that too. And that's why I have a list right now of every executive director and every president of every state. And I'm reaching out to them and supporting them.
Nice.
And that's the thing that needs to happen across this whole profession is we have to go and support these state political level movements because that's how things get done. Yeah. And then when a guy like RFK gets a term, now we've been doing the work for a decade and we've been supporting these people from different aspects of just being in relationship. there's so much that goes into having a great relationship with these people that are making the decisions for our future. Yeah. And when you show up consistently into their life, and you show up to their events, and you show up and thank them and donate to them, like that really matters. Like, people vote with their dollars.
And they remember, like, RFK was at the Mile High Chiropractic Association, right? The whole meeting. And he remembers chiropractic because chiropractic supported him before he was where he's at right now. You know?
And I think once we see, we're going to go back and look at this interview in a year from now, 6 months from now, and we're going to realize how vital the things that we're talking about today are going to be playing out for the American people here in the next 6 months to a year. And my praises to all those people working so hard for making America healthy again, because we need it. And we need chiropractors to lead the charge on this. And I tell people this all the time, Dr. Phil. The reason we didn't fall into medical tyranny was because chiropractors stood with their science, philosophy, and art, and they didn't get taken over.
They did. And, there's a lot of chiropractors that might be listening. They didn't come from a school that taught the philosophy. There's Joe Strauss books. They're very, very palatable. He's no longer alive, but he wrote the Blue Books. Reggie Gold, he's a great, great teacher to teach you the basics, the fundamentals of chiropractic philosophy. Go into reggiegold.com. I'm sure he's there. I'm sure you could buy his tapes or his CDs or get some of his
go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and listen to Valley of the Blind.
Oh, that's one of the all-time greatest. I have the audio cassette tape, the original audio cassette. But the philosophy is the thing that differentiates us. It allows us to be separate and distinct. We're not just adjusting to remove neck pain. That's physical medicine. The philosophy is what separates us. And
it's our base. It's our base.
Without it, and look, I've been 30 years, still passionate about it. I have 8 practices. I run a business, but you know what though? I'm so anchored to the philosophy. You can see when I get lit up, it's about the philosophy. It's not about the business. My wife does that, but chiropractors get passionate. I know it's tough to be passionate about something if you're not aware of what it is and what it does and who we become when we are living the philosophy of chiropractic. But like James said, go onto YouTube. You want to listen to some cool stuff? Arno, A-R-N-O, Bernier, B-U-R-N-I-E-R. That guy's my mentor. That's one of the reasons why I exist of who I am. Reggie Gold's another guy. Those two can teach you a lot for free if you just take the time, go onto YouTube, and listen to what they have to say.
I'll have to dig into those Strauss books. I read everything that Sid Williams wrote recently. I read everything that what's the guy's name up in Wisconsin?
Fred Barge.
I read every Barge book. So like, I think that's a thing too, is I implore the people that I speak to and the audience to go read Fred Barge. I tell them to go listen to Valley of the Blind. I tell them to find Reggie Gold's little white book. Like you have to go and learn about the profession so you can like believe and breathe the profession.
And listen, I have an Instagram page, YouTube page. I'm just starting it out because it's called DRPHI, Dr. Phil Gold, G-O-L. And I put on clips on philosophy and business and success. I want to lift the profession, the next generation. Look, the former generation taught this generation. It's time for this generation to step up, give it away, lift the profession. That's one of the questions that we were talking about was, how do I reach out to my community? And I don't do spinal screenings anymore. Right. I don't do dinner talks anymore. My associates do those. But how I keep in touch with my community is through social media, as you are. It's the greatest, most powerful vehicle. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm old enough where I don't understand the technology. So I hire people to do the technology for me. But I'm old enough to have the wisdom and the success. Where the younger people, they don't have the longevity yet, but they have the technical know-how. And so if you can mold the two, there's a lot of good things on social media, much more than just the attractive chiropractor with the attractive patient and hearing clicks and cracks. That's not what I want our profession to be. I want our profession to be success oriented with all people, with the philosophy anchored down to what we do. Do you agree with that?
I listen to you and it sounds like me talking sometimes. Or, just the wisdom that you have. I feel like that's what people need to hear more of. And I do, I used to coach people 10 years ago when I first got onto social media. I said, be social on social. If you want to make it somewhere, like Billy DeMoss, for instance.
Oh, love Billy.
I was like, I need to get to this guy. So you know what I did? For a straight week, I shared every post that he posted. You know what he did a week later?
What did he do?
Sent me a message. Hey, man, do you want to talk sometime?
I love that. You caught us here. It's like, who is this guy? He looked you up.
But I think you have to be social on social. And this is before podcasting, man. This was like 2015 when I was making my first movie.
Wow.
I wanted to learn more about the profession. Wow. And the doctor that I worked with, he's like, hey, go watch everything that Deed Harrison's done. Okay. Watch everything that Don Harrison's done. He's like, I want you to like study everything that these guys have done so you understand chiropractic biophysics. Wow. So I watched hours of these guys talking about like Atlas plane line and, lordosis and kyphosis and correcting the XZY axis and like all these different things that I was like not prepared to understand. But now because I went and watched these things and learned these things, now I can understand why, we need to get babies adjusted from birth. Why people need chiropractic as a part of their quality of life plan. It's not just to get through something or to fix something, man. It's a lifestyle. Yep. And like you said, this philosophy, when you believe it and you live it every day, that's what sets chiropractic apart from everything else out there, man. And that's why we can't be owned. They can't buy us. They can't sell us. The chiropractors are a standalone profession. And the reason that we didn't fall into medical tyranny and checkmate on the checkboard of the medical world was because chiropractic stood its ground and it didn't fold.
Well said. Well said.
It didn't fold. And that's the thing about doing 700 of these amazing interviews featuring great guests like yourself is we get to talk about one thing. And people always ask me, does it ever get boring to you? Nope, not one day. You're my fourth interview today.
Yeah,
and
we're all different, right?
None of them are boring. And they all will empower one person to get the big idea.
Yeah. Success comes in so many different shapes and sizes. What one person's success is, it's a different color completely with another person. And you can hear just by going to a conference and hearing 10 speakers and one's better than the next, but they're all different. And by that's what's so beautiful about this profession. There's so many different ways to express chiropractic. And you do it long enough, you do it with respect, you do it with integrity, and don't sabotage yourself. In 30 years, you're going to look back and go, wow, that's pretty cool.
I contributed to life.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Phil, I'm sure people are going to want to hear more from you or work with you. Where do we send them to?
Look, go onto my Instagram page, Dr. Phil Gol, DrPhilGol. Or you can email me at drphil@rxwellness.com. I tell this area, any person, I don't consult. I won't take your money, but I'll always help you. And the reason why I don't take your money is because once you pay me, you own me, and I don't have so much time to give you, but I will give you my time when I have the time, and I'll do whatever I can to help you evolve in our profession of chiropractic.
I love it, man. So go check him out on Instagram. That's the go-to, Dr. Phil Gol. And you can email him at drphil@rxwellness.com. I don't think we have enough time together ever. I appreciate you being on with me. We'll have you on again. Go check him out on our first interview of 412 back in 2022. We're rolling into the new year of 2025. And thank you so much for doing what you do and supporting this profession the right way. And let's create more leaders.
I appreciate you, James. Great talking to you.
You too, man. Well, I'll close out like I always do. And I say, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. We'll talk soon. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.